You may be aware that there has been some, I don't know, kind of a controversy in the carnivore space in the last couple of weeks. Kelly Hogan on her channel had a conversation with Dr. Ovidian, hope I'm saying his name right, who is clearly an expert in heart health and is a surgeon and knows what he's talking about and is extremely carnivore friendly. And they were having a conversation about the fact that a friend of Kelly Hogan's has been, by all accounts, the model carnivore in every way. And she or he had a heart attack. They'd been a carnivore for 5 years. They never had a cheat day, like ever, apparently. I didn't catch if that person drank coffee or not. Many carnivores, including model carnivores, admit they drink coffee, but it wouldn't really surprise me if they didn't drink coffee either. Because in every way, they did a strict carnivore diet the way most of us would love to be able to do, and we strive to do. And they had a heart attack after 5 years. And a lot of people are panicking. There's a few things that Dr. Ovidian talked about in that I really want to zero in on here, and then I'm going to give you a couple of my own thoughts. First and foremost, he talked about how there might be environmental factors in this. Mold was one of the things he kept hitting on. If you're doing a carnivore diet, and once you hit your stride, you should take a look at the cleanliness of your house. And I don't just mean, like, if your house is messy, you should take care of that. I'm talking about, like, the deeper stuff that a lot of people miss. And mold is, like, the big one. Go clean your vents. Go give your bathroom a good scrub down, your kitchen, all that. Go look for all the places about mold. Maybe I should do a video on mold, honestly. Mold in the house. She might discover if she did this that her house is old and might have some troubling materials, asbestos or something in there. I hope for her sake that there's no asbestos. But his point was there might be an environmental factor here. And he went on like that. All of that good. But there was something that I think people need to really think about for a second. I have an unpopular opinion in the carnivore space, and that unpopular opinion is that while I will be the first to tell you that the carnivore diet and ketogenic diets and the umbrella ketogenic diet, which carnivore is like the most hardcore version of, is the proper human diet. But it might not be for everybody. There are people who have different conditions that require them to do something else. There are exceptions to every rule. I'm not a fan of one size fits all. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that this is the case here. But how many people do you know who tried the carnivore diet, did it strictly, followed all the rules, spent months doing it, and they couldn't do it? Not because of it's hard. Most of us, including myself, know that there comes a point where it's hard, but then it stops being hard. You finally hit your stride. And that you just got to get through that. But not because it's hard, but they do it for months and they experience some really weird things. I spend a lot of time reading these carnivore social media groups. I see people gaining weight on a carnivore diet, even though they outline everything they're eating. You always put an asterisk next to self-reporting. I know they might be not being honest, but you start seeing this consistently over and over again, and you start seeing that they're eating everything they should be eating. They're following all the so-called rules, and they're gaining weight. Now, one of those reasons it might be that they're gaining weight or they're having inflammation problems that aren't going away or whatnot is that they're eating too much. I am one of those that has to keep my calorie intake to around 1,700 a day to lose weight. Weight loss is my primary goal. This is not that person's primary goal. Dr. Ovidian made it very clear, and did Kelly Hogan, that this person did not eat dairy except maybe butter. Okay, they're not, wolfing down a lot of cheese. They're not putting cream in their coffee if they're having it. If they're having dairy at all, it was butter, right? They were eating beef, basically, and they still had a heart attack. You see this a lot in carnivore groups. Not the heart attack part, but unintended consequences. And they usually don't get good advice in these groups. Just keep trying harder is usually the result they're told. Sometimes your body doesn't like the diet for whatever reason. Usually there's prescriptions given to people. My favorite is just eat grass-fed beef. So eat beef that costs 3 times what the normal grocery store costs, and that most people don't like. They can't even get it down. I will give you an example. Me. I bought a grass-fed cow. Ate it fine, got used to the flavor, and then one day a switch was flipped in my body that made it so I can't even stand the smell of it anymore, let alone the taste. I didn't eat grass-fed beef for 3 months or longer. And then I went to my freezer, pulled out a roast, cooked it the way I love cooking that particular cut, and I could barely get it down. Not everybody can do that either. But not everybody's built the same. But also, the person we're talking about here is not young. They've been doing it for 5 years and was generally a senior from everything I saw in that interview. And this goes to a misconception. You don't see people explicitly say it, but the language they use when they talk about carnivore diets in these groups is that the carnivore diet will turn you into a Superman. It will make you immortal. You'll basically live forever. That is fed into because we have great examples of carnivores who aren't exactly young men anymore, like Dr. Shawn Baker, who is in his late 50s at this point, deadlifting more weight than men in their 20s and holding world records in the row and other things. The guy is a beast, and he's doing it naturally, living a carnivore diet. And so people look at that and see the exception, see the outlier, when in reality, what you're going to find with a carnivore diet is optimization. That doesn't mean you're going to go start hitting the gym and deadlifting 500 pounds with no experience, right? Without having put the work in. And Dr. Baker has a long history of being an athlete, among other things. It doesn't turn you into a Superman, and this diet does not make you immortal. It doesn't make you a god. It doesn't turn you into a Marvel character. It can give you optimization. But you're still mortal. You still go out some way. And I don't like to say that, but there could have been underlying factors with this person, or it was the environmental factors. So don't freak out. Just keep doing your carnivore diet. Keep it as strict as you need to meet your goals. If you're doing like the 80% animal products version of carnivore, at least eliminate your seed oil intake or keep it to the barest minimum. That by itself will probably give you optimization. Okay? And don't worry too much about these outliers. Statistically speaking, this person was an outlier. I'm not saying that to denigrate their experience at all. If you're a praying type, please pray for them, please, that they recover. I mean, this was not just a heart attack, but it was a serious one. This is a serious one, the kind that can cause you serious, could end everything for you. So please, if you're a praying type, pray for that person. But aside from that, don't worry too much about these things. Just keep track of your markers. Remember, the cholesterol issue is all about the ratio of the cholesterol types. It's not about how high that number gets per se. And if you're that worried about the issue, start looking at the environmental things that you deal with every day. Your work environment, your home environment. Start looking at that mold. Start looking at other things in there. Maybe other toxic chemicals that you're interacting with. Do that instead of worrying. One of the great things about a carnivore diet is it's supposed to relieve your stress. After all, when you go shopping, what do? You go to that back meat aisle. You go to those eggs. Maybe if you can eat dairy, you go buy some dairy. The one middle aisle you probably hit is going down to the oil aisle where some stores have beef tallow, and then that's it. And then you leave. There's nothing else to buy. Don't get stressed about this. Stress will derail your progress. It will derail your diet. Don't give into the stress. Don't let these kind of things worry you too much. Just once you got your insides clean, basically with your carnivore diet, start worrying about that environmental stuff too. And a lot of people worry about way too much on a carnivore diet. Honestly, this is one of the reasons people quit a carnivore diet. You start seeing all the laundry list of things you can't deal with. Once you've hit your stride, maybe start working down that list. But don't allow this to become stress, because the other thing that can cause a heart attack is stress. And I'd wonder what kind of factors the person who was a friend of Kelly Hogan's had in that regard. Let me know what you think of this in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly helps. So does sharing this on social media. That helps too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for your time.